Hi, everybody. How are you? Yes, you can see I'm in my house. I'm. It's very yellow. We got weird light outside, I guess. Um, I'm sitting on my stairs. I thought I would. I don't know. Mix it up. How are you? We have a handful of questions from last week. I'm going to jump into those. But if you have a question, for sure ask. Excuse me, and if not, just say hi. Um, the first question is, and the guy emailed me, but I'm going to answer it here because I think it's easier to explain here. Um, he's washing his clothes and they still smell sweaty. Um, the trick to that, and he said, I'm using your stuff. It's just you need to put oxygen bleach in. My guess is um you're not adding oxygen bleach to every load, and it's just sitting. Um, that sweat's just sitting in your clothes. So I would be using soap flakes, oxygen bleach, and maybe some baking soda because you said you were using baking soda. I'd put all three in, and for sure that's gonna get that out. Um, so that was the first thing I wanted to answer. The next thing is somebody asked about the window cleaner. The recipe is 8 ounces of rubbing alcohol, 8 ounces of vinegar, 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. And somebody else asked, they said, you didn't give the same um, amount of cornstarch. And that is true. I didn't because I was telling somebody how to make a half batch. So I said 4 ounces of alcohol, 4 ounces of vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. But it's the same It's the same proportions. And that is what I use on exterior windows, and it's what I use in like shower doors. But to be honest, I've been cleaning a little bit already, and I'm going to do some more. I'm inside my house. I use straight rubbing alcohol on my windows and my artwork and that sort of thing on the inside, the glass on the mirrors, etc. Um, so those questions came up. Another question that I got that was funny was a couple of weeks ago. I talked about cozy friends, and somebody said, you know, and you can spray cozy friends on your dog. Can you spray your dog with vodka? You cannot. Um, when vodka dries, it like evaporates away, but when it's wet, it still wouldn't be good for the dog. So that's going to be a no go. I was on the Jason show this morning, for those of you who saw it or who know who the Jason show is, and I got wet. That's why my hair looks like this. But it was super fun. We'll send out the link so you can see it. Um, so there were those things. What questions do you have? Hmm. Okay, I got a question about moving spray foam insulation out of clothing. I'm not positive this is going to happen because spray foam isn't, long story, but it's not a stain. It's a different category. But your best bet will be to scrape off as much as you can. Soak it for 24 hours, change the water, soak it for 24 hours, change the water, soak it for 24 hours, and then add like lemon oil or orange oil or something like that to it and let it penetrate in and scrub it off. I'm not positive it's going to work, but it's going to be my best guess because spray foam actually encapsulates. It doesn't really stick to the fabric, it encapsulates around it. So I'm just not positive on that. But that is my best guess because I know other things will work that way. Sometimes you can even use acetone, which leads me to somebody has asked me twice and I haven't answered, and I'm very sorry, about nail polish on a blouse. You can use nail polish remover on it as long as it's not acetate, which I can promise you it probably isn't. Look and see, but it probably isn't. If you can use rubbing alcohol, or I'm sorry, rubbing alcohol. My goodness, I'm getting ready to answer. I'm jumping ahead. You can use nail polish remover. Put it on. Get the nail polish off, and you'll have a little ring, and then you can scrub that with soap and a brush and take it away. The next thing, somebody else asked me about ballpoint pen, and you can remove that with rubbing alcohol. There used to be a thing when you got ink on something to spray it with a hairspray. The reason that worked was there was alcohol in hairspray They don't do that anymore because we know that alcohol is very drying for your hair, but at the time, people did it. Um, so the alcohol caused the hairspray to dry fast. It's how people got that, like, that flow. Remember Alice, that bouffant? That's how they got it. And so they would spray it, and the alcohol would cause the hairspray to dry before it fell. So hairspray now does not have alcohol in it usually, and if yours does, maybe it's time to switch. But rubbing alcohol will lift out ballpoint pen. So, what questions do you have? Nobody has said hello or anything. Hello, hello. Um, so anyway, um, oh, we have a troll. Um, anyway, uh, what other questions do you have? Hey, Kristen, how are you? How's Austin? It's cool here. I'll bet it's hot there. Um, it's um in the 60s. Uh um sorry. I did Twin Cities Live this morning, and uh Twin Cities Live, sorry. I did the Twins this morning. I was at Twins Target Field, the Twins Stadium, and it was very cool, very cool. And I was going to stay for the ball game. I'm sure it got rained out, but it was almost uncomfortable. So yeah, what else? What else is happening? I use flour sack towels for my windows. Thanks. It was fun to be on, Jason. I use flour sack towels for my windows because they're lint free. They're really pretty great. They're um, after you wash them a couple times, they're pretty absorbent and they're completely lint free. They're pretty great. So I use those. On the outside of the window, I use flour sack towels too, but there's a little more grit. When I do the uh, shower doors, I sometimes use terry cloth because I want that little extra bit of grit. So, um, you know, yeah. I use rubbing alcohol on the interior windows, and I make the window solution for the outside, but I use the same towel. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I guess we will wrap. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope it's nice out and you can uh, cook out or do whatever it is you do. And I will see you next week. If you're watching this and it's not live, post your question below and I'll pick it up next week. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.